Hey, and welcome back to Split Second Science. This is the first episode of a new series called The Final Frontier. In this series, I will discuss various different methods and concepts involving colonizing and making use of space. From factories and hotels in low Earth orbit, to bases on the moon and surrounding planets, to facilities in the Kuiper Belt, we will cover it all. Today, it is the terraformation of Mars. Mars is currently a dry, barren world, starved of greenhouse gases and oxygen, with an atmosphere just 1% the thickness of Earth's. Mars would kill a human within seconds. To a human body, Mars is the equivalent of being in space. However, what could we do to change this? We need to start off with simply warming up Mars. To warm Mars, we could pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, just like we are doing in a problematic way here on Earth. We won't pump carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, or else warming it to adequate temperatures would take too long. Instead, we will use much more potent gases, such as a sulfur-fluorine compound that is thousands of times stronger than CO2. With this special compound, Mars could be warmed up to Earth-like temperatures within a century or two. It would not take long for the frozen carbon dioxide at the poles to melt either, which would only speed up the process. By the 200-year mark, Mars would have blue skies, and a carbon dioxide atmosphere somewhere in between 20 and 30% of Earth's atmospheric pressure, rather than 1%. In these conditions, all you would need is an oxygen mask and a very light pressure suit. Your suit does not need to be heavy, as 20 to 30% of Earth's atmospheric thickness does not require a bulky suit. A slim suit and an oxygen mask, and you are set. Water would begin to form and evaporate, causing clouds to form and rain to occur. In high elevations and latitudes, it would snow. Next, we would begin planting deposits of moss and grass on now wet ground, which will grow to cover whole mountains and vegetation. We will also have to turn the nitric oxide in the Martian regolith into real nitrogen gas by separating the oxide part from nitrous oxide, creating pure nitrogen. This nitrogen will sustain the plants, which will begin to introduce oxygen to Mars. Soon, large pine trees will be planted, which will push the oxygen level to new extents. With this process, Mars might have an atmosphere half as thick as Earth, with vegetation making the surface totally green, and oceans flooding the canyons and craters within as little as 1,000 years after terraformation begins. Despite the atmospheric pressure being high enough that just a t-shirt and pants are fine, an oxygen mask is still needed. It will probably take anywhere from several thousands to several tens of thousands of years to get oxygen levels high enough to where you can rip off that oxygen mask, flip it off with your middle finger, and throw it on the ground. But technology will be so advanced, they might just need to surgically insert a chip into your lungs that will constantly manufacture oxygen molecules, enough that your body will have a sufficient supply of oxygen. Eventually, we will want to introduce Earth life to Mars, creating a diverse ecosystem, securing our place on Mars. However, there is one thing left. Without a magnetic field, Mars will lose its atmosphere over tens of millions of years, turning it back into a barren rock. If we want to preserve Mars's habitability until the sun burns it up within over 1.5 billion years, we will need to make an artificial magnetosphere. Fortunately, there are various hypothetical ideas for this, so, by then, we will probably have added a magnetosphere, officially making Mars the second permanent blue marble in our solar system. In fact, it could be a lifeline. Within 1 billion years, Earth will be unable to sustain humanity. However, Mars will be able to sustain us for another couple hundreds of millions to 500 million years. 1.5 billion rather than 1 billion. If there are any humans alive, they will be watching their home planet slowly fry over millions of years, as they sit snugly on Mars, knowing that even they will not last forever on the former red planet. What was artificially made habitable for 1.5 billion years will go forever back to its beginnings as a rocky wasteland. This time, not a cold wasteland, but a scorched wasteland, burned by the forever expanding sun. Eventually, our sun will die completely. At this point, our accomplishments will be destroyed, our heritage lost. Our achievements over billions of years will be lost to the always victorious passage of time and entropy, destroying any signs that you or me once existed. So, that's today's video. If you have any science or history topics you'd like me to cover, leave them down below. This is Split Second Science, signing off.